Close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires, all fears, all laziness, all doubt, anything within the center of your consciousness, center of your body, and the center of your belly that can throw out living water or flow out lies. Bring your mind to balance within yourself, within your 12 cranial nerves, within your 12 melanin centers, within your hands and your feet that control your body through your left and your right ventricle that pump deoxygenated and oxygenated blood throughout your body, through your axons and your dendrites and your capillaries. And all the toxins and all the things that may induce one's mind to do things according to the will of Satan instead of the will of Yahuwah. And bring your mind to balance within yourself on this Shabath. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day of warning. Today is a day that Yahuwah has given to us as a day to cease from your labors, your works, your own mind, your own thoughts, your own judgments, and your own understanding, and submit yourself to the highest order and the highest Shamayim, Yahushua Mashiach, who sits above the highest Shamayim, above the seven heavens, above the Shabath Shamayim, above the seven celestial circles, who helps govern the seven celestial circles, who helps govern the Shabath Shamayim, who sits above the 13th Shamayim, Yahuwah Elohim, who sits on his throne with his son at his right hand, with his bin at his right hand. So this Yom, we acknowledge the one who made all of the har of the earth, all of the nahar of the earth, all the rivers and streams and the fruitful trees of the earth, and the one who casts the bad away and takes the good and plants it in his own land, that they may yield an increase in this life and in the next. Yahuwah Elohim. So this Yom, as we move forward in kindness, ahab, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, amunah, self-control. We move forward with our lamps continually burning, our manure continually burning on the seven near that one must have continually burning, that the eighth spirit that had left your body may not take control over your body again. Right, so this is the book of Haggai, the book of Kagi, the book of Haggai, chapter 1, Kagi, chapter 1 and verse 1. 1 and 1. It says, in the second year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, on the first day of the month, the word of Yahuwah came to Kagi the Nabi, Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, governor of Yehuda, and Yahushua the son of Yasadak, the high Kahan. Thus says Yahuwah of hosts, these people say, the time has not yet come to rebuild the house of Yahuwah, right? That's the same thing people say today. That's the same thing people say within themselves about the body that they live inside. Going to Yeshayahu chapter 66, Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 1, Isaiah 66 and 1, Yeshayahu 66 and 1. It says, thus, Yeshayahu, Isaiah 66 and 1. It says, thus says Yahuwah, Shamayim is my throne, the Adatz is my footstool. What is the house that you will build for me? And where is the place of my rest? Right? Look at the day of rest. Sword, knife, rest, law, word, perfection. Look at our say the day of rest. Where's the place that Yahuwah going to rest at? Right? Because he's a homeless man looking for a place to stay. Just like Yahuwah said, foxes are whole, the birds of the air have nests, but the son of Adam have nowhere to lay his head. Right? And it says right here, verse 2 says, all these things my hand has made. So all these things came to be, declares Yahuwah. Just like Yahuwah said, the world was made by him, formed by him, but he came into his own, and his own even received him in this house. You know why? Because they didn't have a place for him to dwell. How you said they did not have a house for him to dwell in. And it says right here, verse 2 says, all these things my hand has made, so all these things came to be, declares Yahuwah. But this is to the one whom I will look, he who is humble and contrite in ruach, and trembles at my debar. You look at the humility of a human being. He said, those who are humble with a contrite heart, he said, to this person will I look. Going back to Haggai, Kagi, chapter 1 and verse 2. Kagi, chapter 1, verse 2. It says, thus says Yahuwah of hosts, these people say the time has not yet come to rebuild the house of Yahuwah. They said they don't want to do anything. He said, why? Because it's a lot of work. Just like he said, Hakma has built my house, and it's hewn out 7 pillars. Right? Knowing that these Amun, that one has to build these pillars, one has to keep these things burning. You have to build that house, and you have to build it with Hakmuth. But then if you can't build a Hakmuz, how are you going to have 7 pillars? And how are you going to be able to stand when the actual real test comes? Because the real test ain't even happened yet. Right? And it says right here, and it says, these people say the time has not yet come to rebuild the house of Yahuwah. Then the word of Yahuwah came by the hand of Kagi the Nabi. Is it a time for you yourselves to dwell in your own paneled houses while the house lies in ruin? Like you dwell in your own paneled house. Like people got paneled houses, depending on what type of battle. You got some got battlements in their house. But yeah, look at your house. He said, look at your house. And it says right here, now therefore, that says Yahuwah of hosts, consider your ways. Right, this is the book of Luke, going to the book of Luke, chapter 17. Luke chapter 17, verse... Luke chapter 17 and verse 20. Luke chapter 17, verse 20. It says, being asked by the Pharisees or the Parashim when the Malkuth of Elohim would come, he answered them, the Malkuth is not coming in ways that you can be observed. Right? You look, y'all live in these paneled houses and everything that you have. You got your little dwelling places, but these are all things you can observe. And it says, nor will they say, look, here it is. Like they ain't gonna be able to show it off. Look at all this stuff I got. Or there it is, or there. For behold, the kingdom or the Malkuth of Elohim is in the midst of you. Right? It's right inside of your body. Shamayim is my throne, the earth is my footstool. Where is the place of my rest? And when are you going to rebuild that? Right? Going back to Haggai, chapter 1. Verse 5. Haggai chapter 1 verse 1 says, now therefore, thus says Yahuwah of hosts, consider your ways. You have sown much and harvest little. Right? You think about all the stuff you do. He said, you sown a lot. You sown all this seed out here, and guess what? You harvest little. You eat, but you never have enough. He said you never have enough. You can eat all you want. You can eat 7 meals a day. You can eat 3 meals a day. You can map it out. But for some reason, you can't never have enough. And then guess what? You drink, but you never have your fill. You can drink all the water in the world. You can drink all the wine in the world. You can guzzle it down. You can throw down a whole bunch of vegan hot dogs, or just hot dogs in general. You can throw down a whole bunch of steaks. You can throw down a whole bunch of things that make yourself sick. But it says right here, your clothes, he said, you clothe yourselves, but no one is warm. You put all them clothes on, you're trying to keep yourself warm from the cold that's outside, because we're still in the cold season. And guess what? You still can't get warm. You say, why can't I get warm? Why can't I get full? Why can't I find any rest? And he who earns wages does so to put them into a bag with holes. He said you gain all that money and it just keep going out like it's not even, like you got a hole in your pocket. And you keep trying to get all this gain, and guess what? All your money going out of your pocket. And you're like, why are all this stuff happening? And it says, thus says Yahuwah of hosts, consider your ways. Why? Because all these things, you ain't never been satisfied, and it seems like everything you do doesn't work. He said, consider your ways. Why are you doing that? Go up to the hills and bring a wood and build the house, that I may take pleasure in it, and that I may be glorified, says Yahuwah. Right? Verse 9 says, you look for much, and behold, it came little. And when you brought it home, it blew away. He said, you ain't got nothing. Why? Declares Yahuwah of hosts. Because of my house. Why? Because my house that lies in ruin. While each of you busies himself in his, with his own house. He said, everybody busying themselves with their own stuff. He said, you busying yourself with all that. But he said, you forgot about something. He said, you forgot about something. Right? Therefore, the heavens Shamim above have withheld dew. He said, what? Because you know what happens when it withholds the dew. He said, withheld the dew, what? And the earth has without its produce. And I have called for a drought on the land, on the hills, on the grain and the new wine and the oil, on what the ground brings forth, on man and beast, and all their labors. What are he getting ready to do? He getting ready to make you suffer the hunger. He getting ready to make you suffer to hunger. Why? Why he gonna make you suffer the hunger? That man shall know that you don't just live by bread alone, but by every debar that goes out of Yahuwah's mouth, and not by your own stuff. That's why he getting ready. That's why he's doing it. And it says right here, going to Job, Aydah 34 and 11. Job 34 and 11. Aydah, Job 34 and 11. Job, Aydah 34 and 11. Going to verse 1. 34 and 1. Job 34 and 1. It says, Then Elihu answered and said, Hear my words, you wise men, and give ear to me, you who know. For the ear tests the words, as the palate tastes the food, as your mouth tastes the food. And it says, Let us choose what is right, and let us know among ourselves what is good. And he said, why? You got to know it. Why? For Aydah has said, I am in the right, and Elohim has taken away my right. In spite of my right, I am counted a liar. My wound is incurable, though I am without transgression. Why you think? He said, though his wound is incurable, I'm without transgression. And it said right here, what man is like Aydah? Just like Yahusha said, just like Yeshayahu said, he was a man acquainted with grief, a man of sorrows acquainted with grief. He says the iniquity, all of his iniquity was put on him. He said, reproaches him and reproach thee fell on me. And he was without transgression. Yahusha Mashiach. And it says right here, verse 8 says, who travels in a company with evildoers and walks with wicked men. For he has said, it profits a man nothing, that he should take delight in Elohim. He said that's why people's houses are destroyed. That's why people's minds are destroyed. That's why their bodies are destroyed. Right? That's why he said that's why they consume things they shouldn't consume. Verse 10 says, Therefore hear me, ye men of understanding, men and women of understanding. Far be it from Elohim that he should do wickedness, and from the Almighty that he should do wrong. For according to the works of a man, he will repay him. He said, but I've been sowing, but I reaped in little. I've been covering myself, I can't get warm. I've been doing all these things, but I'm never satisfied. He said, why? Because my house lies in ruin. Because you ain't been doing what you're supposed to. And it says, and according to his ways, he will make it befall him. Of a truth, Elohim will not do wickedly, and the Almighty Shadi will not pervert justice, who gave him charge over the earth, and who laid on him the whole world. Who he put in charge of the earth, and laid on him the whole world. And Elohim said, let us make Adam in our own image and our own likeness. And let him have authority of the fish of the sea, fowls of the air, every creeping thing over all the earth. And Elohim made man in his own image, both male and female, as a Qahalath. And guess what happened after that? Verse 14, and if he should set his heart to it, and gather himself his ruach and his breath, if he did that right now, all flesh would perish together. Nobody, no flesh, no animal, no being. No, he took his neshama, his ruach right now. No animal, no human being would be alive on this earth right now. And get what it says. All flesh would perish together, and man would return to the dust. He said right now. He said he could do that right now. He could take people away right now. He said, what profit all the stuff you were laboring for some reason I couldn't get warm. I couldn't in little. I get wages and it's like it's like money going out of my pocket. He said, you know what? You know I could take your breath right now. And get what it says. Verse 16, if you have understanding, hear this. Listen to what I say. Shall one who hates partiality and judgment govern? Will you condemn him who is righteous and mighty? Who says to the king, worthless one, and nobles, wicked man? Who shows no partiality to princes, no regard to the rich, more than the poor? For they are the works of his hands. in a moment they die. And at midnight the people are shaken and pass away, and the mighty are taken away by no human hand. Right? By nobody. Right? This is going to the book of Yeshayahu 66, or Yeshayahu 56 and 1. Yeshayahu 56 and 1. Isaiah 56, Yeshayahu 56 and 1. Isaiah 56 and 1. Isaiah 56 and 1. Isaiah 56 and 1. It says, thus says Yahuwah, keep justice, no partiality in judgment, and do righteousness, to be our righteousness, to keep his commandments. For soon my salvation will come, and my righteousness will be revealed. Barak is the man who does this. Barak is Adam who does this. And the son of Adam who holds it fast, who keeps the Shabath, not profaning it, and keepeth his hands from doing any wrong. But it says right here, let not the foreigner who has joined himself to Yahuwah say, Yahuwah will surely separate me from his people. And let not the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree. For thus says Yahuwah to the eunuchs who keep my Shabath, who choose the thing that please me, and hold fast to my covenant, I will give in my house and within my walls a monument and a name better than the sons and daughters. I will give him an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Why? There's no reason to cut you off, because you do what he says. But it says, verse 6 says, and the foreigner who joins himself to Yahuwah, because when the stranger joins to the tribes of Yasharal, you must give them their inheritance, whoever tribe they want to dwell among. And it says, and the foreigner who joins themselves to Yahuwah to minister to him, to love the name of Yahuwah, and to be his servants, everyone who keeps the Shabbat and does not profane it, and holds fast to my covenant, these I will bring to my Qahalath mountain. You're going to bring them where? To his Qahalath mountain. He said in the last days, the mountain of Yahuwah going to be, the heart of Yahuwah going to be established above the highest mountains, and exalted above every high hill, the highest mountains. And all nations, all people shall flow to it. And it says, and everyone who keeps the Shabbat does not profane it, and hold fast to my covenant, these I will bring to my Qahalath mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. It says right here, their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted on my altar, on my shulchan. He said on the altar that has the four horns at the four horns at the four corners of the altar. And it says, their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted on my altar, for my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples. Yahuwah Elohim, who gathers out the outcasts of Yasharal, I will gather yet others to him besides those we have gathered. Right, so skipping over to verse 11. Actually, going to verse 9. Let's go there. It says right here, saying, all you beasts of the field come to devour, all the beasts of the forest. His watchmen are blind, they are all without knowledge. They are all silent dogs, they cannot bark, dreaming, lying down, loving to slumber. The dogs have a mighty appetite, right? Because you eat and you never satisfy. Kagi already said. He said you never satisfy. They have a mighty appetite. For some reason, what do you mean appetite? They mighty in eating. They never have enough. They ain't never going to be satisfied. But they are shepherds, Ra'ah, who have no understanding. And get what it says. They have all turned to their own way. That's all they do. And what else they do? Each to his own gain, one and all. Right? That's why you got like 1,000, 150,000 of them in one region. He said they all to their own gain. And what else they do? It says they all to their own gain, one and all. Come, they say, let us get wine. Let us fill ourselves with strong drink. And tomorrow we will be like this, be like this day, great beyond measure. Right? Skipping over, going over to Psalms 49 and 2. 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 Psalms 49. Tahalim 49 and 2. Actually, so 49 and 1. It says, hear this, all ye people, all peoples. Why? Because low and high, rich and poor. Give ear, all inhabitants of the world, both low and high, rich and poor, together. My mouth shall speak of wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall be understanding. And I will incline my ear to a proverb, and I will solve my riddle upon the music of the lyre. Why should I fear in times of trouble, when the iniquity of those who cheat me surround me, those who trust in their wealth and boast in the abundance of their riches? Why? Because everybody's on to their own game, and his house is desolate. He said, don't you know I can take you away at night, at midnight? Matter of fact, all the things that you people do, why are you doing it when my house is lying in ruins? For the kingdom comes not with observation. The kingdom of Malkuth is within you. Know ye not that your body is a temple of Yahuwah? But for some reason, everybody's looking at other things. Why are you looking at it? 1 Chronicles chapter 22. 1 Chronicles chapter 22. 1 Chronicles chapter 22 and verse 1. 1 Chronicles chapter 22. 1 Chronicles chapter 22 and verse 1. Then David said, here shall be the house of Yahuwah, Elohim, and here the altar of the burnt offerings over for Yasharah. What do you mean? He said, I'm going to build my altar in my house again. But get what it says. And Dawood commanded to gather together the resident aliens, the strangers, who are in the land of Yasharah. And he set stone cutters to prepare the dressed stones for the building of the house of Yahuwah. Why? Because the house, it wasn't no house. The house is in ruins. And it says, and Dawood also provided great quantities of iron, nails, and doors and gates for the clamps, as well as bronze and quantities beyond weighing. The cedar timbers without number for the Sidonians and the Tyrians brought great quantities of cedar to Dawid. And Dawid said, Shaluma, my son, is young and inexperienced, and the house that is to be built for Yahuwah must be exceedingly magnificent. It must be what? Exceedingly magnificent. But the house lying in ruin. But he said, who's going to rebuild it? It has to be a certain way. It has to be exceedingly magnificent. That type of house that Yahuwah want to live in. And get what it says? Of fame and glorious throughout all lands. It got to be like that. That's how your house got to be. That's how your body got to be. That's how your thoughts got to be. That's how your heart has to be. That's how you love has to be. That's how you raise your children has to be. That's how when you're a wife, that's how you got to be. That's how when you're a husband, you got to be. That's why the way you move, when you walk by, when you lie down, when you rise up. He said you got to be magnificently, exceedingly magnificent, and fame throughout all lands. He said Yahuwah's fame should be coming all through you and exuding from your body, from your heart and your mind, from your lips. And get what it says. I will therefore make preparation for it. That's the problem. He said you gotta prepare to get ready for that. He said I can't have fame and throughout all lands and be exceedingly magnificent. Guess what you gotta do? He said, you know why? Because you haven't prepared for it. Well, he said he shows his rules to Yasharah, to Yaakov, and his statutes to Yasharah. He has not prepared any other people. He has not dealt with any other people. What you got to prepare for? He already told you what to do. So David provided materials in great quantity, Dawid, before his death. Before his death. Why do you think Yahushua died at the 9th hour? He said, destroy this temple in one day. I'm going to build it back in 3 days. Why do you think he died at the 9th hour? He had to provide. He was providing all the things, the quantities before his death. The materials and the quantities before his death. He was showing you exactly how the specs and codes are going to be. And what you need to prepare to build it. And get what it says. Verse 8 says, then he called for Shalom his son, peace, and charged him to build the house of Yahuwah, because you got wisdom. Hakamuth has built the house. The wisest woman built her house. And he said he hewed it out with 7 pillars. You get what it says? And it says, and charged him to build a house to Yahuwah, the Elohim Yasharah. And Dawid said to Shalom, my son, I had it in my heart to build a house in the name of Yahuwah, my Elohim, but the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, you have shed much blood and have waged great wars. You shall not build a house to my name, because you have shed so much blood before me and the earth. Behold, a son shall be born to you, and he shall be a man of rest. How you say the seventh day? He said, Barak is the man, the people who don't profane my Shabbats. He said, then I shall bring to my Qahalath mountain. He said, this man, the person I'm going to raise up to build your house, is going to be a person of rest. How you say? Shabath. The Zon. The seventh letter of the alphabet. Sword not rest law word perfection. Magnificent. Fame. And yet what it says, and I will give him rest from all his surrounding enemies, for his name shall be Shalom, and I will give peace, Shalom, peace, and quiet to Yashral in his days, and he shall build a house to my name, and he shall be my son, and I will be his father, and I will establish his royal throne in Yashral forever. Verse 11 says, now my son, Yahuwah be with you, so that you may succeed in building the house of Yahuwah to your Elohim. And he be with you. But we'll get what he says. As he spoken concerning you, only may Yahuwah grant your discretion and understanding, that when he gives you charge over Yashral, you may keep the Torah of your Elohim. Right? That's all. He said that you may keep the Torah of your Elohim. This is Deuteronomy chapter 11 verse 1. Devarim chapter 11 verse 1. Actually, Devarim, Deuteronomy 1 and 1. Deuteronomy 1 and 1. Deuteronomy, Devarim 1 and 1. And it says, these are the words Meshach spoke to all Yashral beyond Yarden in the wilderness, in the Arabah opposite of Suf, between Param and Tophel and Laban and Hazeroth and Dizah. It is 11 days' journey from Horeb by the way of Mount Seir in Kadesh Barnea. In the 14th year, on the first day of the 11th month. What month is this? It's 11th month. He said first day. What is it? The second day of the 11th month. And he says, Meshach spoke to the people of Yashral according to all that Yahuwah had given him and commanded them. After he had defeated Sihon, the king of Amorites, who lived in Heshbon, and Og, the king of Bashan, who lived in Ashr and in Edrei, beyond Yarden, in the land of the Moab, Meshach undertook to explain this law, saying, Yahuwah Elohim said to us in Horeb, you have stayed long enough at this mountain. He said, you done stayed too long. And get what he said? Turn and take your journey. To do what? And go to the hill country of the Amorites, and to all their neighbors in the Arabah, and in the hill country, and in the lowland of Negeb, and by the seacoast, the land of the Canaanites and Lebanon, as far as the great river and the river Euphrates. See, I have set the land before you. Go in and take possession of the land that Yahuwah swore to your father Abraham, Yitzhak and Jacob, and give them and their offspring after them. He said, go take possession of it. Why would he say take possession of it? Possess it. Why would he say take possession of it? It's Luke Oria, Luke 21, 19. Luke 21 and 13. Luke 21 and 13. And it says, this ESV, this will be your opportunity to bear witness. Settle it, therefore, in your minds, not to meditate before how you ought to answer. For I will give you a mouth of chokmah, which none of your adversaries will be able to withstand or contradict. You will be delivered up, even by parents and brothers and relatives and friends, and some of you will be put to death. You will be hated by all all for my name's sake. But not one of your hairs of your head will perish. By your endurance, you will gain your lives. Right? In some translations, by your, he says, in your patience, possess your soul. Right? But he said, turn and take your journey. He said, go and take possession of it. This is Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 5. Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 5. Jeremiah chapter 12 and verse 5. Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 5. It says, if you have raced with men on foot, and they have wearied you, how will you compete with a horse? He said, you racing a human being. You know, some people, you boast about the things you do to a human being. You can't even, how you say, you complain when you running with just a human being. He said, how are you going to compete with a horse? I beat a human being. He said, man, you wearied yourself. How will you compete against a horse? And he says, and if in a safe land you are so trusting, what will you do in the thicket of the Yarden? And then it says, for even your brothers and the house of your father, even they have dealt treacherously with you. They are full, cry after you. Do not believe them, though they speak friendly words to you. Why not? I have forsaken my house, I have abandoned my heritage, and I have given the beloved of my soul into the hand of her enemies. My heritage has become to me like a lion in the forest. She has lifted up her voice against me. Therefore I hate her. In my heritage is my heritage to me like a hyena's lair? You just talked about it, how magnificent and famed in all lands is the place where Yahuwah going to dwell is like a hyena's lair. And the birds of the prey against, it says, are the birds of the prey against her all around? Go assemble all the wild beasts and bring them to devour. Many shepherds have destroyed my vineyard. He said, these shepherds, they destroyed the vineyard. They destroyed the Karim. Matter of fact, they have no understanding. And get what it says. They have trampled down the portion. They have made the pleasant portions a desolate wilderness. They have made it a desolation, desolate. It mourns to me. The whole land is made desolate, but no man lays it to heart. He said nobody considers their ways. Nobody considering their ways. As Kagi wrote. And get what it says. Upon all the bare heights in the desert, destroyers have come, for the sword of Yahuwah devours, for one end of the land to the other. No flesh has peace. That's why he said, Shalom, he's going to be a man of peace and rest. And he's going to build my house. What house he talking about? The house that's lying desolate? The house is lying desolate? And it says, destroyers have come, for the sword of Yahuwah devours, from one end of the land to the other. It says, no flesh has peace. Shalom. They have sown wheat and have reaped thorns. You sown much, but you gathered in little. And get what it says. They have tired themselves out, but profit nothing. It's like a person getting wages and money going out of their pocket. There's a hole in their pocket. They shall be ashamed of their harvest because of the fierce anger of Yahuwah. Why? Because everybody all off their own game. Nobody cares. He said everybody out their own thing. Verse 14, thus says Yahuwah concerning all my evil neighbors who touch the heritage that I have given my people Yasharal to inherit. Behold, I will pluck them up from their land, and I will pluck up the houses of Yehudah from among them. And after I have plucked them up, I will again have compassion on them, and I will bring them again, each to his heritage, and each to his land. And it shall come to pass, if they will diligently learn the ways of my people, to swear by my name, as Yahuwah lives, even as they taught my people to swear by Baal, they shall be built up in the midst of my people. He said, they repent, even though they gave you all these false gods and these idols. He said, I'll let them in if they repent and they diligently learn his name and his ways. But guess what it says? But if any nation will not listen, not Shema, both low and high, rich and poor, all peoples of the earth, then I will utterly pluck it up and destroy it, declares Yahuwah. He said, I'll do that. He said, I will utterly destroy it. Right? This is Proverbs chapter 10, verse 1. Proverbs 10 and 1. Proverbs 10 and 1. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 1. Proverbs 10 and 1. And it says, the proverb of Shalomah, it says, a wise son makes a father glad, but a foolish son is a sorrow to his mother. Right? Just like a father and a mother. But it said, he said, a wise son makes his father glad. Treasures gained by wickedness do not profit. He said, treasures gained by extortion, by swindling, by lying. He said, it don't profit you nothing. Matter of fact, but righteousness delivers from death. He said, it ain't going to deliver you from dying at midnight. He said, that ain't going to do it. But it says, Yahuwah does not let the righteous go hungry. Huh? He ain't going to let the righteous go hungry. We just read in Qahalath, they were eating and they never was satisfied. He said, for some reason I'm eating, I'm never full. He said, I'll never let the righteous go hungry. But the only reason you couldn't never be satisfied because you're evil. And he says, but he thwarts the craving of the wicked. That's why you're never satisfied. For some reason, I keep eating, and for some reason I can't. Even though I eat, for some reason nothing happens. A slack hand causes poverty. A person who don't want to give to the poor and the needy. A person who don't want to lend a hand and help. A person who don't want to do the things that they're supposed to be a servant, abide. He said, it causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. He said, I'll make other people rich. He said, the hand of the diligent gives other people and makes them rich. But it says right here, he who gathers in summer is a prudent son, but he who sleeps in harvest is a son who brings shame. Blessings are on the head of righteousness, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. Right? Skipping over. Verse 10. Whoever winks the eye causes trouble, and a babbling fool will come to ruin. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. Right? Verse 12 says, hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all offenses. He said love covers all offenses. Right? Going to Proverbs, actually Psalm 73 and 1. 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 It says, truly, Yahuwah Elohim is good to Yasharal, to those who are pure in heart. He said, he's good to you. But as for me, my feet had almost stumbled. Man, it almost stumbled. What else? He said, my steps had nearly slipped. He said, my steps almost nearly slipped. And what happened? For I was envious of the arrogant. He said, of the people who boast, arrogant. Overbearing arrogance. About what? About their riches, about what they've done, about their knowledge and understanding, about what they know. They know it all. He says what? He says, for I was envious and arrogant when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. He said, I saw it. He said, I was envious of the prosperity of the wicked. He said, how in the world all these wicked people, he said, all they get all this prosperity. He said, I started getting envious. It started entering my heart. But just like Zabun said, I got to pray for perfect prosperity. He said, if they got about evil means and they repent, I must forgive. He said, I almost stopped. I almost started. And it says, for they have no pangs unto death. They ain't got no pains. They ain't got nothing. They ain't got nothing happen to them unto death. Their bodies are fat and sleek. They eat so much. He said, they fat and sleek. And guess what happened? They are not in trouble as others are. They ain't never in trouble when it comes to money issues, when it comes to things that they have. They got so much abundance. They ain't never in trouble. They at ease. He says, you get what it says? They have what? They are not in trouble as others. They are not stricken like the rest of mankind. They ain't not even stricken. They just gathering more and more, getting richer and richer, and you getting poorer and poorer. And they even if you got some money, they just getting richer and richer. Sectillion, quintillion, Googleplex. They just superseding you above all. Now they're gonna travel in the cosmos and have space weapons and space stations and space communities and space. They just higher and higher and higher above you. He said they keep going, and guess what happens? He says, therefore pride. Guess what it says? Therefore pride is their necklace. Violence covers them like as a garment. That's the only reason. That's how they got it. Pride and violence. Kamas, unjust gain. It has to be unjust gain. There's no way in the world a person gathers in that much wealth and go to sleep at night, and not even care about the poor, not even a little bit. It's violence. That's how they got it. They stole people. They stole your land. They stole your property. They stole your stuff. They burn it down. They do all these things, and then guess what they do? Then they take it from you. And then what they do? Then they got pride about it. And guess what it says? Their eyes swell out through fatness. They got big old puffy eyes with all that stuff they eat, stuff in their face. Their hearts overflow with follies. And guess what? When they start pouring out of their heart from their belly to their mouth, all it talks about is all the evil and raw they do. And they boast in their shame. And guess what happens? They scoff, they mouth at, and speak with malice. They speak with malicious intent out of their mouth. Lofty therein threaten oppression. They keep threatening more and more oppression on you through slick and even fake being humble and meek. But then they actually have oppression in their heart. And what they're going to do to you, and how they're going to destroy you, and how they're going to rule over you. Still, and guess what happens? They set their mouths against the Shamayim. They go against the Shamayim, against the heavens, against the higher ethers. They set their mouths against it, and guess what they do? And their tongue struts through the earth, and they slit their tongue through the earth, through the internet, through their radio waves and their frequencies and vibrations. And guess what happens? Therefore, his people turn back to them to find no fault in them. Guess what they do? They turn back, right back to him, and they don't see no fault in anything they're doing. They even quote the very quotes that they say. They omit Yahuwah's the bar. They don't quote that, but they'll quote everything they say. They'll say and repeat everything they say. They repeat everything they say, every single video, every single word. But then when you come to Yahuwah's the bar, they don't know anything. And get what happens? It says, and they say, how can Elohim know? Is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the wicked, always at ease. They increase in riches. He said, how you know? He said, how you wicked and you increasing in riches? He said, I'm wicked, but I'm increasing in riches. How is that even possible? You full of hatred and you're increasing in riches. You jealous and envious and you're increasing in riches. You disobedient and rebellious and you're increasing in riches. You hard-headed, hard-hearted, and stubborn and you're increasing in riches. And people say, I'm okay. And get what he says. Behold, these are the wicked who are always at ease. They increase in riches. All in vain have I kept my heart clean. And David, like, man, he said, look at that. I done did all this. I done kept my heart clean. Created me a clean heart, renewed me the right ruach. Psalm 51. You will not accept burnt offerings. All of that. And wash my hands in innocence. All in vain I kept my heart and clean and washed my hand in innocence. He said, man, I did all that for nothing. If they still getting everything they got, doing all these things to keep myself in subjection, that I won't be disqualified. And get what he said. For all the day long, I have been stricken. He said, I've been stricken all day long. And guess what? And rebuked every single morning. Every morning I'm getting rebuked. Every morning I'm getting too caught. And guess what it says? If I said I will speak thus, I would have betrayed the generation of your children. He said, if I would have said something any different than that, I would have betrayed the generation of your children if I would have said anything different than what I already said. And get what he said. But when I thought how to understand this, it seemed to me a wearisome task. He said, I started trying to think on all these things. Ooh, it's a long process. Until I went into the sanctuary of Elohim. Then I discerned their end. Truly you set them in a slippery places. You make them to fall to ruin. How they are destroyed in a moment. Swept away utterly by terror. It's just like in a moment. Just like in the midnight. He said, they're going to die. He said, at midnight, they're going to cry and they're going to die without human hands. Can you do that? He says, how they are destroyed in a moment and swept away in utter terrors, like a dream when one awakes. O Yahuwah, when you rouse yourself, you despise them as phantoms. Just like a little spirit. And guess what? When my soul was embittered, when I was pricked in my heart, when I was what? When I was pricked in my heart, what happened? I was brutish and ignorant, and I was like a beast toward you. You get what it says? Nevertheless, I am continually with you. You hold my right hand. He said, you hold my right hand. He said, you hold my yard. And get what it says? You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you receive me to Kabod. Why do you think Yahushua Mashiach was guided through his counsel from the time he was taken at midnight all the way through the chief priest getting beat and struck over the head, put a scarlet robe and a violet robe on him. Then they beat him on the head, then they mocked him sitting down, and the chief and the elders mocked him in the same way. And then after all that, Yahuwah guided him all the way through all of that by his counsel. And then what did he do after that? He said, my father, why are you forsaking me? And then after all that, he cried out twice, and guess what happened after that? He received him up to his kabod, in the same kabod that he was when he was sitting at his right hand before the earth even was. He said, my foot almost well slipped when I saw the prosperity of the wicked down there, them chief priests and the elders and the scribes, and all them shepherds down there who were mocking, and all those people sitting down, and they were mocking at me, and all the people on the left and the right that were mocking at me. I sure was looking at them, and I almost slipped, and I almost came down from the cross. I almost did that. But Yahushua said, nah. If I'd have did anything other than that, what I said, I would have betrayed the generation of my people, the children. He said he would have betrayed the children, all those who humble themselves like children. He said, if you don't humble yourself like a child, you will never get in. If Yahushua would have never did that, you would never have a chance to get in. And get what it says, verse 25. Whom have I in Shamayim but you? Man, who else? I ain't got nobody else up there. I ain't got nobody in Shamayim and higher than the 7 Shamayim, 7 heavens, above the 7 celestials. I ain't got nobody higher than the 13 Shamayim, like other guys try to put themselves above you. I ain't got nobody higher, nobody like you. Who else I got? Get what it says? And there is nothing on earth that I desire besides you. He said, can people say that? Can you say that? What else do you desire on this earth that's greater than what Yahuwah is? He said, if you desire something greater than that, something on this earth that has you desiring it more than him, then guess what? He said, you have the spirit of sleep. And it says, verse 26, my flesh and my heart may fail. He said, my flesh and my heart may fail. They may give out. But Yahuwah Elohim is the strength of my heart. He said, you're gonna give me my strength back in my heart. When your heart get broken, he said, Yahuwah is the strength of my heart. When your thoughts get broken, Yahuwah will put me back together. He said, what? You the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Verse 27. For behold, those who are far from you shall perish, and put to an end to everyone who is unfaithful to you. He said everybody, right? He said everybody. Right, this is Psalm 62 and 5. Psalm 62 and 5. Psalm 62 and 5. I'm gonna finish. This is Psalm 62 and 5. Psalm 62 and 5. Psalm 62 and 5. Psalm 62 and 5. It says, for Elohim, Yahuwah alone, O my soul, wait in silence. For my hope is from him. Why do you think Yahushua ain't speak? He's like, why he ain't talking? But can you imagine being in the middle of the Sanhedrin and all them people around you looking at you, getting ready to stone you behind, and they saying all this stuff about you? Can you imagine? And guess what? He said, my hope, Yahuwah Elohim, my soul. He said, but Yahuwah alone, oh my soul, wait in silence. For my hope is from you. Verse 6 says, he only is my rock and my salvation, my fortress, and I shall not be shaken. Why do you think he says shall not be shaken? He said, I shall not be shaken. Why? This is Psalms 46 and 1. Psalms 46 and 1. Psalms 46 and 1. Elohim, Yahuwah, is our refuge and strength, a very pleasant help in the time of trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, or the Yam, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble in its swelling. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of our Elohim, the Chdash habitation of the Most High. Right? He said that's why. He said there's a stream, right? This is going back to 65. Psalm 65. Psalm 65. Let's see. Psalm 62 and 5, I'm sorry. Psalm 62 and 5. Psalm 62 and 5. Psalm 62 and 5. For Elohim alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from him. He only is my rock and my salvation, my fortress, and I shall not be shaken. On Yahuwah Elohim rests my salvation, and my kabod, and my mighty rock, and my refuge, Elohim. Trust in him at all times. O peoples, pour out your heart before him. Elohim is a refuge for us, Selah. Those of low estate are but a breath, both low and high, rich and poor. He said, you just like a breath. You just like a dream. You're like a phantom. And get what it says? Those in high estate are a delusion. He said, both low and high, poor and rich. Who would say you rich and you got all that money? He said, you're delusion. He said, it could be, he said, he's going to send a strong delusion that you may believe a lie. He said, you're in delusion. What happened? He says, those in high estate are a delusion. In the balance, they go up. They are altogether lighter than a breath. He said, you're just like a breath, like neshama. Just like we just read in Aydah, he said, if you take all breath and neshama from the earth, he said, all human beings, no flesh will survive. And get what it says? Verse 10, put no trust in extortion. He said, how do you think all these people in this world got all this money and all this gain, silver and gold, and everything they got? They got to do extortion, and then they allow you to get some of it. So you actually gonna put your trust in that? How do you think they got it? Don't even trust in trust. Set no vain hope on robbery. How did they get everything? They stole the land. They stole Turtle Island. They stole Jerusalem. They stole the land. They stole this, and they gave you all these fake languages. Took your tribal heritage. Took your tribal ways, your tribal thoughts, your understanding. Took you from connection with the land and the animals and the creatures of the earth and everything to make you in connection with them, with everything that's been built and constructed. He said, why are you going to put your trust in extortion and robbery? They got it through evil purposes. And they let you have something. You think Yahuwah not watching all of these things? He said, why would you put your trust in it? And guess what happens? If riches increase, because you know the only way your riches is going to be, you got to get some of the unjust gain that these people have in order for you to increase in wealth in this world. Because you telling me every single piece of currency you grab and every single piece of gold and silver was actually gathered through righteous means? No, everything you literally take or you partake in or you invest in or anything you buy or anything, it was all gotten by robbery and extortion. And if you trust in it, you are a fool. It says, if riches increase, set not your heart on them. Don't even do it. You're supposed to set your heart on things above. Your heart and mind on things above, not on earth. Because there's no, who have I in Shamayim but you? There's nothing on the earth I desire but you. And you say, oh yeah. But you still have to get the, you still have to, get your, the things in the world in order to survive. So that's where the world is functioning. But don't abuse your purposes. Because if you do, you're going to find yourself outside of the Mount Cool. And it says right here, verse 11 says, once Elohim has spoken. And what happened? Twice have I heard this. How many times Shalom heard it? When he was going to get all those wives, who spoke to him twice? That's all he do. He not talking to you many times. He said, I'm going to tell you twice. 2 or 3 witnesses, that's it. It says this, that power belongs to Yahuwah Elohim, and that to you, O Elohim, belongs steadfast love. For you will render to man according to his work. That's why you don't put your trust in. Because it was gotten through robbery and extortion. That's how they got it. And that's what you're partaking in. And eventually Yahuwah say, you know what? Even though the world is continuing, understand. If you put your trust in it, then that'll be your fall. Right? This is Proverbs chapter 20. This is Job chapter 27 and 13. Job chapter 27 verse 13. Job chapter 27 verse 13. Job chapter 27 verse 13. Ayub chapter 27, 13. This is the portion of the wicked. Ayub 27, 13. This is the portion of a wicked man with Elohim, and the heritage that oppression receives from the Almighty. If his children are multiplied, it is for the sword. And his descendants have not enough bread. Those who survive him, the pestilence bearers. They're going to be swords. They're going to be wars and rumors of wars. They're going to be wars and rumors of famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in diverse places. And it says, those who survive him, the pestilence bearers, and his widows do weep. Though he heap up silver like dust and pile up clothing like clay. He said, we just talked about it in Haggai. He said, man, you never, I don't know, we got all these clothes we never keep warm. We got all this gold and silver. It's like money going out of our pocket. We got all this stuff. For some reason, nothing is happening. We sowing, but we gathering in little. Though he heap up silver like dust and pile up clothing like clay, he may pile it up, but the righteous will wear it. He said, they pile it all up. They gather it all up. He said, but we're going to wear it all. Why are we going to wear it all? Because we just read how he talked about those who come to Yahshua and they listen to his voice and they diligently learn the ways of his people in his name. Then Yahuwah said, I'll accept them. And guess what they're going to bring all that stuff to? You. And guess what it says? And he will pile it up, but the righteous will wear it, and the innocent will divide the silver. The poor, innocent people he's been oppressing, we're going to divide it all amongst ourselves. And what he says? He builds his house like a moth, like a booth that a watchman makes. He goes to bed rich, but will do so no more. He going to do what? He goes to bed rich, but he will do so no more. He opens his eyes, and his wealth is gone. He's like, all his wealth gone. He said, all that happened. He said, your wealth is gone. Imagine that happened today. You were rich, and then you open your eyes, all your wealth gone tomorrow. And he said, who will say, you see what happens when you do evil and wrong, you get unjust gain, you trust in extortion and robbery. You see what will happen to you? And get what it says. Verse 20, terrors overtake him like a flood, just like a flood coming to a city. And guess what? In the night, a whirlwind carries him off, just like he carries him off. The east wind lifts him up, and he is gone. It sweeps him out of his place. He said, just like that. He said he goes to bed rich, but he said, but will do so no more. He opens his eyes, and his wealth is gone. Verse 20 says, terror overtakes him like a flood, and in the night a whirlwind carries him off. He said, everything carries him off. What do you mean carries him off? Like all this, the east wind lifts him up, and he is gone. It sweeps him out of his place. It hurls at him without pity. It says he flees from its power in headlong fight. It claps its hands at him and hisses at him from its place. Oh, that's significant. It's going to the book of Proverbs chapter 28, verse 6. We almost 28:6. Proverbs 28:6. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 6. Proverbs 28 and 5. Proverbs 28 and 5. It says, evil men do not understand justice, but those who seek Yahuwah understand it completely. Better is a poor man who walks in his integrity than a rich man or woman who is crooked in his ways. So you look at our life. He said it's better to be a poor man walking in your integrity, a poor man or woman walking in your integrity, than a rich man or woman walking in crooked ways. So you look at all the crooked things and the crooked ways that one has done, and he said you prosper. But then you walk down and you see a poor man who walking in his integrity, a man or woman, and guess what? Yahuwah say they better than you. So one can increase in riches and money and gain and all these things, but if you're crooked in your ways, just know that poor man down the street, that poor man you see that's walking in integrity, because you do not know if he is or not. He said he's better than you. He said he's better than you. Verse 7 says, the one who keeps the Torah is a son with understanding, but a companion of gluttons shames his father. But you're going to be just like them rich people. Oppression and robbery, and you're going to be fat, overeating. You're going to look just like them eventually. If you walk in the corner of the flesh, you're going to end up being just like them eventually. And get what happens? The one who keeps the Torah of Yahuwah is a son of understanding, but the companion of gluttons shames his father. Whoever multiplies his wealth by interest and profit gathers for him who is generous to the poor. What do you think they've been doing for the past 1,000 years with these charts and all these different things that they're doing? All these different things that they've been doing and all this oppression. What do you think they're doing? 8%, 10%, 15%. They've been gathering wealth by interest. Tap on 100, 200,000 interest on your 100,000 interest on your bill because you got a payment. That's just adding on the actual interest so you can see it. They've been gathering wealth by interest. And guess what it says? It says you're going to be gathering for them who generous to the poor, because the righteous is going to put it on eventually. You get what it says? If one turns away his ear from hearing the Torah, even his or her prayer is an abomination. He said it's an abomination. You get what it says? Whoever misleads the upright in an evil way will fall into his own pit, but the blameless will have a goodly inheritance. Huh? He said, these people, I'm going to bring them out Chdash Mountain. You get what it says? A rich man is wise in his own eyes. He said, man, everybody got all that. He said, you rich in your own eyes. That's what happened to Shalom. He was wise in his own eyes. He would warn him twice too. He started getting wise in his own eyes. But guess what happened? But a poor man who has understanding will find him out. Why? He said a poor man who has understanding will find him out. Right, so this is the book going to Matthew. He said he's going to find him out, right? That's what's going to happen. This is Matthew chapter 6, verse 25. Matthew 6:25. Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, or what you will eat, and what you will drink, and about your body, and what you will put on. Isn't that what Kagi was saying? That's all they were doing. They never satisfied. You do that, Yahushua already telling you what's going to happen to you. He said you ain't never, because you know why your house is going to be laid in ruins. Because you're going to be thinking about all those things, and you ain't going to be seeking first in Mount Kuth, and guess what? All those things you're going to be trying to grab and get, guess what's going to happen to your house? It's going to lie in ruin. And you're going to be doing all that. I got all these clothes, I can't get cold. I'm still cold. I eat all this food, I'm still hungry. I get money, and it's like money going in my pocket, but I still got to keep trying to get more and more and more. He said, therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life and what you will do and what eat and drink and nor about your body. He said all these things about your natural carnal state. What you will put on. Is not life more than food and your body more than clothing? He's like, it's not life. He said, I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. He said, these words I speak unto you, they are ruach and they are life. He said, you meditate on the bar, you and night, you have good success. In the book of Joshua, he said, meditate on the bar, you and night. In the night watches, as David wrote. He said, I meditate on your promise. Why? Why? Because even with all of these things that you gain in this life, those things must be, you say, put Yahuwah first. No. He said, put Yahuwah first. Everybody say that out of their mouth. Put your thoughts first, on him first. Because that's the whole point. Your thoughts, your makashba, your yetzer, your imaginations has to be on him first. Because if it's not, you can say put Yahuwah first, but he just like he said, Yahuwah ain't in all your thoughts. In your 12 cranial nerves, in your 12 melons, in your 12 minutes of fruit, he ain't there. In your 7 near, in your seven lampstand, in your 7 near, in your oil, he ain't in there. He ain't in your oil. Now they say we burn the midnight oil. I remember we used to be in college. They burn the midnight oil, studying the heck out of them books, trying to pass the test. But then you fail the test with Yahuwah. Right? And it says right here, is not life more than food and body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They say, go look at them. Man, they free as hell. You go look at the crows, the ravens, the kites. Go look at the falcons. Go look at the eagles, the netsars of the world. You go look at all the birds. You can look at the cassowary bird. You can look at the ostrich. You look at all these different species in the earth. You got what he say? The red robin, the blue robin, all these. They seen an orange bird the other day. He said, what he say? The hummingbird. He said, guess what happens? Look at all the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap, nor gather into barns. That's what that guy was saying. He said, we sow much, but we gather in less. They don't do none of the stuff we do. And guess what happens? And yet, your heavenly Father feeds them. He said, I'll still give them stuff. He said, they ain't even gathering all these things. They ain't got like 1,000 wallets either. They ain't got 100 wallets. They ain't got 150 cars and all these things. They ain't doing all that stuff that we do. They ain't chasing after this stuff. He said, they don't got none of that. And guess what happens? Are you not more than valuable than they? And which of you, being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? He said, just have midnight. They can all pass away. Can you do that? Can you add a single life to your lifespan? Can you even add that to your life? Can you do some addition, basic elementary math? And why are you anxious about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field. Consider what? The lilies of the field. How they grow, they neither toil nor spin. They're not sewing no clothes and doing none of that. But for some reason, yet I tell you, even Solomon, in all his kabod, was not arrayed like one of these. All that stuff he had. All the things he did. Even got charged to build Yahuwah's house. But he said, you see that house he was building? He said that wasn't the house he was talking about. He said, my whole house lied in waste. When it came time for Shalom to give an account for the things he's doing, guess what? Yahuwah warned him twice, and guess what? The whole house he had built, within himself, was desolate. But the house he built for Yahuwah, the one, that natural house, was still standing. But the one on his inside of his body was desolate. And he was brought to destruction. Even with all that wealth, knowledge and wisdom, gold and silver, recognition and fame, magnificence, and all these things he had for his natural man, for his inward man. His inward being was desolate. Right? And it says right here, even Shalom and all his abode was not arrayed like one of these, but Elohim, but if Yahuwah, Elohim, so clothes the grass of the field, which today is alive and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, as a wheat, will he not much more clothe you? O you of little amun. He said, you got little amun. You don't really know how big your Elohim is and how huge he is. You think he little, like you think he's real tiny. We talked about how his hand, he holds the whole Kima galaxy in his right hand, the Pleiadian star system. He ain't little. His Amuna is way bigger than what you think. You think he's like a little grain of wheat in the field. No. He can move Orion. He can move the Quetzal and break the bands. He can buy sweet influences of the Mahadana. He can do a whole bunch. He can bring Mazzaroth in the constellation and allow it to rotate in a sphere, and it's fixed. He holds all breath. And he says right here, it says, but if Elohim so clothes the grass of the field, which is today alive, thrown into tomorrow, is thrown into the oven, will he not more clothe you, O you, O little Amuna? Therefore do not be anxious, saying, what we going to eat? What shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the Goyim seek after these things. They get fat in it too. They got a closet full of 1,000 shoes, 1,000 clothes, 1,000 outfits. Man, they got a whole thing full of things they eat. Look at this, look at all this stuff I eat. Look at all this stuff. Anxious. They got so much stuff. They ain't even trying to give it away. It's just like, look what I got. Shoot, I don't even think it's enough clothes in the world. Shoot, as much clothes they done made with all this fabric and stuff. Everybody should have some clothes. It said right here, for the Goyim seek after these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you have need of them. He said, I already know what you need. But guess what he said? But seek first the Malkuth of Elohim that's within you, and his righteousness, the commandments. But you say, what is seeking the commandments? I keep the feast days, the cogs, the mu'ats. The commandment, seeking righteousness is not to go against Yahuwah's commandments. That's the whole point. But it said right here, and all these things will be added to you. They're going to give it to you. I'm going to give it all to you. I'm going to add it to you just like it's like basic mathematical elementary math. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 plus 10 is 20. Stuff like that. You get what it says? Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is the trouble, is its own trouble. Right? Going to the next thing, going to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 1. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 1. It says, I myself also am a mortal man, like to all, and the offspring of him who was first made of the earth, just like Adam. And in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months, being compacted in blood of the seed of man and the pleasure that came with sleep. And when I was born, I drew the common air, and I fell upon the earth, which is of the like nature, and the first voice which I uttered was crying, as all others do. Because naked you came into the world. I did all that. We all did that. And guess what it says? I was nursed in swaddling clothes, and that, it says, and that with care. For there is no king that had any other beginning of birth. Who is this? said, unto us a child is born, unto us a ben is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. There is no other child on earth who was born like this. No king. For all men have one entrance into life, and the light going out. Naked you came in, and naked you going to leave. Wherefore I prayed, and understanding was given to me. And I called upon Elohim Yahuwah, and the Ruach of Chokmah came to me, and I preferred her. I sought ye first the Malkuth, the kingdom of Yahuwah, more before scepters and thrones and esteemed riches. Nothing is in comparison to her. Neither compare I unto her precious stones, because all gold in respect to her is as little sand, and silver is counted as clay before her. And I loved her above health and beauty. He said, he said, why? I loved her above health and beauty, and chose to have her instead of light. For the light that cometh from her never goes out. He said, I chose her better than natural manure. You know how the natural manure, eventually, if you don't put no oil in it, it go out. He said, but this light, that oil that comes from Chokmah, never goes out. Because Chokmah built a house, and then hewn out 7 pillars. Right, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 38. Book of Sirach, chapter 38. So, book of Sirach. You almost finished it. Book of Sirach, chapter 38. I think it's Sirach, chapter 31. I think it is 31. Yeah, the book of Sirach, chapter 31 and 1. Sirach, chapter 31 and 1. It says, Sirach chapter 31 verse 1 says, watching for riches consumeth the flesh, and the care thereof driveth away sleep. He said, what? He said, you keep watching for riches. You see how the world got you now? It got you watching for this stuff every 24/7. 12 hours in the day, 12 hours at night. 24/7, 2 o'clock, China come on. 6 o'clock, like noon time. Everything kick in, the bell ring. Man, they got you 24/7. They consuming your flesh. He said your health deteriorating, your thoughts deteriorating, and the house becoming ruins. Your inward house and your inward mind. Your 12 men of your fruit now coming diminished. And you know what it says? Watching for riches consumeth the flesh, and the care thereof driveth away sleep. What are we supposed to do during Pesach? He said it's a night of much watching. But you guess what else coming around during Pesach? The destroyer. And we know that word for destroyer, we know that it means consume, ruin, waste. What do you think is going to happen to you if you continue to do this? The destroyer coming to lay your house ruins. To lay you ruin. That's what that destroyer was during Pesach. It was to lay people to ruin your inward man. Because you didn't have the blood on you. Because you're not redeemed with corruptible things of silver and gold. You can gather as much as the dust. He said, but with the precious blood of Yahushua Mashiach. Right, but it says right here, watching care will not let a man slumber. As a sore disease breaketh sleep. A disease, he said, you sick. It breaketh sleep. The rich hath great labor in gathering riches together, and when he resteth, he is filled with his delicacies. The poor laboreth in his poor estate, and when he leaveth off, he is still needy. He that loveth gold shall not be justified, and he that followeth corruption shall have enough thereof. Gold hath been the ruin of many, and the destruction was present. It is a stumbling block unto them that sacrifice unto it, and every fool shall be taken therewith. He say what? He say some. He say every. And get what it says. Barak is the rich. Barak is the rich that is found without blemish, and have not gone after gold. He said, Barak are those who seek ye first the Malkuth and his kingdom, and who has not gone after gold more first. He said, going after it and put that first in the lot. Who is he? And we will call him Barak. For wonderful things have been done among his people, who have been tried thereby and found perfect. Then let him kabod, who might offend and have not offended, or done evil and have not done it. His good shall be established, and the congregation shall declare his alms, right? He said, declare his alms, right? So going to the book of Proverbs, chapter 28. Yeah, Proverbs chapter 28, verse 22. A couple more. Proverbs 28, 22. Proverbs 28 and 22. It says, a stingy man hastens after wealth and does not know that poverty will come upon him. He said, what good is riches to a stingy person? And because Sirach said a nigger. And it says right here, and does not know that poverty will come upon him. Whoever rebukes a man will afterward find favor. Then the one who flatters with his tongue, whoever robs his father or mother and says, that is no transgression, is a companion to a man who destroys. You a companion to the destroyer. You literally saying to your mother and your father, Jerusalem above is free, and mother is all. You are a companion to the destroyer. You literally want. They're gonna say, he that watches for riches. He said, you have a sick mind. You have sickness, and it wastes away your flesh. Right? He said, this is gonna happen to you. Right? This is the book of Proverbs, Psalms 127 and 1. Psalms 127 and 1. Psalms 127 and 1. Psalms 127 and 1. It says, unless Yahuwah builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. He said, show me my throne, the earth is my footstool. What house we build? My house lies in ruin. In your patience possessing your soul, but in your endurance you will gain your lives. But he said, no, you're not, that your body is the temple of Yahuwah. But guess what happens to you if you pursuing all these things first? He said, the whole house gonna lie in ruin, and the destroyer gonna come, possess your body, and take over your body, and you're gonna run out naked. You're gonna come, and guess what? You're gonna go to poverty. And then, matter of fact, you may even perish at midnight. But it said right here, and how you know you're gonna perish at midnight? It says right here, 127 and 1. Unless the Yahuwah builds a house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless Yahuwah watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is vain. He said, it is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest. Why? Because he that watches for riches. He said, man, it drives away sleep. Matter of fact, it literally destroys you. And guess what? They do it all morning, all night, all morning, all night, all morning, and all night. And guess what's going to happen to you? It is, and it's all in vain. That you rise up early, and you get up early, gotta grind, don't stop. And it said right here, and go late to rest, eating bread of anxious toil. For, he said, eating bread in anxious toil, for he gives his beloved sleep. You're supposed to go to sleep. You're supposed to be at rest. But nah, you, night, morning, evening, morning, even Yahushua was asleep. He gives his beloved sleep. It says, behold, children are a heritage from Yahuwah, the fruit of the womb and reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Barak is the man who fills his quiver with them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks to his enemies. Right? Going to Mark chapter 4. Mark 4:39. Mark 4:39. Mark 4:39. Actually, Mark 4:35. It says, on the day when evening had come, because it's nighttime, he said to them, let us go across the other side. And leaving the crowd, they took him to the boat, just as he was. And other boats were with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking in the boat, so that the boat was already filling. But he was in the stern, asleep in his cushion. He was like, man, Yahuwah give his beloved sleep. Here you toiling and going all over the place for gold and silver and gain and watching for riches. And guess what? Here Yahushua in the bow of the ship with a windstorm, he's sleeping. And you can't even sleep during a bunch of riches you may not even get. That's gotten through robbery and extortion by other people. And guess what he's saying? And it says, but he was in the stern asleep in his cushion, on a cushion. And they woke him and said, teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? We're going to be poor. That's all we got to do it. We're going to be poor. We're going to be in poverty. We ain't going to have no money. We're going to be able to survive. Do you know we perishing? We starving to death. We gather in much, but we get in little. We toil. We got no clothes. We can put clothes on. We ain't warm. Man, we ain't doing anything. We need more gold and silver. We need to get more and more and more. And he says, what? You not care we perishing? You don't care we perishing? You sleeping. He gave his beloved sleep. You know what he said? And he awoke and rebuked the winds and the sea and said, Shalom, peace, be still. Why? Because he told Shalom, you're going to build my house. He's going to be a man of peace and quiet. He's like, man, y'all need to be peace and quiet. And then when he told Shalom, he told Solomon, peace and quiet. He's like, Yahushua like, man, I'm trying to sleep. Yahushua like, I'm trying to sleep. And y'all up here making all this noise, you and the Malachim. Shalom, peace and quiet. I need to go to sleep. And guess what happened? And the wind ceased, and there was great calm. He's like, calm. And guess what he said? And he said to them, why are you so afraid? He said, what you afraid of? Why are you so afraid when you're looking at all these things that's happening, and you look at all these people prospering, you got all these things in the oppression, robbery, extortion, they got all this stuff, gold and silver, and all these things. You think you're going to perish, you're going to die. And he said, no, if you seek him first the kingdom, he said, I'm going to give you all this stuff. The righteous going to put it on. But at the same time, he said, what? He said, why are you so afraid? Have you still no Amunah? I guess you forgot how big Yahuwah really is. And get what he says? And they were filled with great fear and said one to say what? Because the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. That's the beginning. Hakmah. Yirah Rashid Hakmah. And get what he said? And they were filled with great fear and said to one another, who then is this? He's like, hold up. So you saying you can do all that, you can give all these things, you can literally give us all these things that we desire, we delight ourselves in you, you give us the desires of our heart, you give us everything we desire. You're like, man, I missed the boat. You say, I just swing the boat back around and pick you up. You know how people say, we missed the boat. He said, I just swing the boat back around and pick you up. No big deal. The Shamains is fixed. Right? And he said, I should go right back around and come pick you back up. And he said right here, and they were filled with great fear and said one to another, who then is this, that even the winds and the Yam obey him? The wind, the Ru, and the Yam obey him? Right? This is book of Matthew chapter. This is book of skipping over. This book of Qahalath. We almost finished. This book of Ecclesiastes. That's not Ecclesiastes. Actually, yes. Book of Sirach, chapter 38, verse 1. Book of Sirach, chapter 38, verse 1. Book of Sirach, chapter 38, verse 1. Book book of Sirach, chapter 38, verse 1. It says, honor a physician with the honor due unto him, for the uses which ye have of him, for Yahuwah has created him. For of the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of the great men he shall be an admiration. Yahuwah have created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. Verse 5 says, was not water made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof might be known? And hath he given men skill, that he might be honored in marvelous works? With such doth he heal men, and take away their pains. He said, I'll take away all your pains. He said, why y'all on this ship making all this noise? You know why? Let me show you why. One more after that. He says, this is why. This is the book of Matthew. I think it's Matthew. Matthew chapter 11. Matthew chapter 9. Matthew chapter 9 and verse 9. Matthew chapter 9 verse 9. Matthew chapter 9 verse 9. As Yahushua passed on there, he saw a man called Matthew sitting at the tax booth. And he said to him, follow me. And he arose and followed him. And as Yahushua reclined at the table in his house, behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and were reclining with Yahushua and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, why does the teacher eat with the tax collector and the sinners? They said the extortioners and robbers and all these people who gather in gain and money. Right? And they tack on interest on top of your stuff. He said, but when he heard it, he said, those who are well have no need of a physician. Because you know what happens? He said, those who watch for riches. He said, it drive away sleep. And he said, bring your body to sicknesses in your body. He said, why does the teacher eat the tax collectors and the sinners? But he heard it, and when he heard it, he said, those who are well have no need of a physician. You don't need no physician. He gave the herbs of the earth for healing. And those who are wise, when they poured it. Look at what he said right here. Those who are well have no need of physician, but those who are sick. He said, why you watching for riches? Why are you losing sleep? Why are you getting sick in your body? Why are you allowing these things to take over your mind? Because he gave your beloved sleep. He said, they don't need no physician, but those who are sick. Get what he said? Go learn what that means. Go learn what this means. That's why Yahushua, he's way above. He's like, go learn what this means. He said, why am I even saying this? Because people sick. He said, go learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice. He said, I desire mercy and not sacrifice. Because you know what happens? When you see, because you know, when you start seeing the rich and the pirate and the tax collectors and they all getting all this money and gain for Caesar and all these things, he's like, but if they diligently learn my ways, guess what's going to happen? You get what he says? I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I came not to call the righteous, but sinners. He said, I ain't come to get no righteous people. I came to get sinners. So guess what happened? He said, this is the book of John chapter 9. John chapter 9 verse 21. John chapter 9, verse 35. Yahusha heard that they had cast him out, and having found him, he said, "Do you believe in the Son of Yahuwah?" He answered, "Who is he, sir, that I may believe in him?" Yahusha said, "You have seen him, and it is he who is speaking to you." He said, "Your master, I believe," and he worshipped him. Yahusha said, "For judgment I have come to this world, that those who do not see may see, that those who are sick may be healed, and those who see may become blind. Those who think they ain't sick," he said, "you're gonna be sicker." Because he the physician. He said, "I came to call sinners to repentance." And get what he says. Some of the Pharisees near him heard these things and said to him, "Are we blind?" It's like they were sitting at the table when he said physician. He said, "They that are sick don't need a physician. They that are not sick don't need a physician. They that are sick." The same people. He said, some of the Pharisees near him heard these things and said to him, "Are we blind also? Are we also blind?" Yahusha said to them, if you were sick, you would be healed. If you were blind, you would get what happened. If you were blind, you would have no guilt. You would have no guilt within yourself. Anything else he said. But he said, but now that you say we got perfect health. We're full of all the herbs and the herbs of the earth. I mean, we're full of all of the things, and we're walking in perfection in mind and thought, and we're riding on the highs, and we're full of the consciousness of the creation of the enzymes of the things, and we are now in perfect harmony with all things. He said, if you were blind, you would have no guilt. You wouldn't have. But now that you say we see, he said, you think you see already. He said, your guilt remains. He said, you still sick. He said, you sick, and you have need of a physician. Right? It's the last thing. I'm finished. Last thing I'm done. So this is the last thing. Right. So going to. So this is the book of. This is the book of First Corinthians. Book of 1 Corinthians. I think it's Hebrew now. So let's go to Hebrews. Book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore, lift up your drooping hands and strengthen your weak knees, and make straight paths for your feet, so what is lame may not be put out of joint, but rather healed. He said, what? But rather healed. Strive for peace with everyone. Peace and quiet. Shalom. Peace and quiet with everybody. For Chdash, without which no one will see Yahuwah. See to it that no one fails to obtain the kind of Yahuwah, and no root of bitterness spring up and cause trouble, and by it many become defiled. He said many become defiled, right? So this is the last thing. This is right. This is the book of 1 Timothy 6 and 8. 1 Timothy 6 and 8. But if we have, it says right here, verse 6 and 6, 1 Timothy 6 and 6, it says, but godly righteousness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and we cannot take anything out of it. Right? Just like Shalom said, I was born into this world. What king was born into this world like this? For we have one entrance into life, and the light going out. And we can't what? It says, for we brought nothing into this world, and we cannot take anything out of it. But if we have food and clothing, with these we are content. We will be content. Why? Because you put your trust in uncertain riches and extortion and robbery. So you better put your trust in your own. Right? And it says right here, verse 9 says, but those who desire to be rich, wealthy, fall into temptations, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. The love of silver and gold and money and gain is the root of all kinds of evil. It is through this craving, this appetite, what happens? That some have wandered away from Amunah, from one Elohim, and pierced themselves with many pains. But as for you, O man of Elohim, man or woman of Elohim, flee these things. Pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, Amunah, love, steadfastness, and gentleness. Fight the good fight of Amunah. What happens with gentleness? It's the seventh. When you look at the fruits of righteousness, the seventh one. Your lamp going out. If you don't pursue that, you're going to lose your gentleness. And you're going to be an oppressor. And all that stuff. And then you're going to find your house in ruin. And then you're going to find yourself outside the kingdom of Yahuwah. And get what it says. Gentleness. Fight the good fight of Amunah. Take hold of eternal life, to which you were called, and about which you made the good confession in the presence of many witnesses. I charge you in the presence of Yahuwah Elohim, who gives life to all things. If you remove all breath from the earth, no flesh would even be here. No flesh, all flesh will perish. Who gives life to all things, and of Yahushua Mashiach, who was a testimony before Pontius Pilate made a good confession to keep the commandment unstained. You know how people say you ain't gotta keep righteousness? To keep the commandment unstained and free from reproach until the appearing of the Master Yahushua Mashiach, which he will display at the proper time. Because he ain't coming back. He coming back with, it's going to be, he said, magnificent and majestic. It's going to be fame. It's going to be all throughout all the land. When he come back, he going to display it. He who is Barak and only sovereign, the King of kings, the Malak of Malakim, the Master Adon Adamim, the Master of masters, who alone has immortality, who dwells in unapproachable light, whom no one has ever seen or can see. To him an honor and eternal dominion, amen. When Yahuwah come back here. This verse 17. As for the rich in this present age, charge them not to be haughty, nor to set their hopes on an uncertainty of riches. Because you know where riches come from. Robbery, oppression, and all these things. You trust in it. Don't set your uncertainty riches, but on Yahuwah Elohim, who richly provides us with everything to enjoy. They are to do good, to be rich in good works, and to be generous and ready to share, thus storing up treasures for themselves as a good foundation for the future, so that they may take hold of that which is truly life. So we look at all that. Look at Yahushua Mashiach. Look at the light of life. Look at the love that he has for us. And then he says, seek ye first the Malkuth and all these things, the kingdom within, that his house don't lie ruin within yourself. That all these things may be given to you and added to you as something that can be added as something magnificent in fame, and something that can have some type of weight throughout all the lands. So we look at ourselves, we look at our inner man, we look at our inner being, we look at our inner light, and our inner understanding, and to walk in newness of life, and to walk in him by the renewing of our mind. We may no longer walk according to our will of our flesh, for it's so easy to go after the will of our flesh and the will of what we want to do in this life. But it's so easy to say, bring your house to ruin, to have your whole mind fixed in a 364-day cycle, moving in a procession, fixed on riches and silver and gold and money and gain and gathering wealth and clothes and things that will never satisfy you. Even putting things in your mouth that will never satisfy you, and you'll always be hungry. For Yahuwah said you'll never hunger nor thirst again. He said, I'm giving you a water that you'll never thirst again, and food that you will never hunger again. knowing that these things are a part of it, for he will never do that. He will always suffice the hungry, the righteous who are hungry, and make the unrighteous and the wicked never satisfied with their hunger. For we look at our natural food, but we look most of all at the food that we eat and ingest through the higher ethers. And we look at ourselves as that being that needs that food to survive in this life. And we need him to clothe us with righteousness, and to clothe us with his love, and to clothe us with his kindness. For he clothes the meek with salvation. He clothes the kind ones with salvation. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth.